Hello there, you're watching World News Program. I'm your host Miriam Zian and these are the headlines. Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune receives his Chadian counterpart Mohamed Idriss Déby. The two presidents hold bilateral talks and oversee the signing of several agreements to deepen the partnership and strengthen continental integration. And President Tebboune hails joint achievements as key step towards comprehensive strategic partnership. On the 15th day of the truce between the United States and Iran, the Revolutionary Guard announces the seizure of two ships attempting to cross the Strait of Hormuz. The EU Commissioner says the energy situation remains dire, even in the best-case scenario, while reports say Trump is considering extending waivers to facilitate oil shipments in America. In Lebanon, there are martyrs in new violations by the Zionist occupation in the south of the country. President Aoun confirms that negotiations are continuing to extend the ceasefire. Hello there and welcome back to the details of your nightly news. And first, Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune welcomed Chadian President Mohamed Idriss Déby, ITNO, at Algiers International Airport during his official visit. The two leaders listened to the national anthems and reviewed a military honor guard, then exchanged greetings with their respective delegations and senior officials. The Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune held bilateral talks at the VIP lounge of the Algiers International Airport with Syrian President Mohammed Idriss Déby Itno, who is on an official visit to Algeria. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune officially received Chadian President Mohammed Idriss Déby Itno at the Presidency Palace. A Republican Guard honor ceremony was held and the two leaders posed for a commemorative photo before local and international media. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune held one-on-one talks at the presidency with Chilean President Mohammed Idriss Déby Itno, who is on an official visit to Algeria. He also led expanded talks on Wednesday with his Chilean counterpart, including both countries' delegations, according to the presidency. And Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune and Chadian President Mohammed Idriss Déby Itno oversaw the signing of 12 agreements and memoranda of understanding between the two countries. The deals cover sectors including public works, communication, youth, animal health, pharmaceuticals, industry, higher education and research, air transport, energy, and diplomacy. In a joint statement with his Chilean counterpart, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune affirmed that what has been achieved between Algeria and Chad constitutes an important step toward building a comprehensive strategic partnership.
أود أن أشير بأن ما حققناه اليوم يشكل خطوة هامة نحو بناء شراكة استراتيجية متكاملة. كما أود أن أؤكد لأخي فخامة الرئيس التزام الجزائر بالوقوف إلى جانب جمهورية تشاد شقيقة وحرصها على بناء نموذج ناجح للتعاون الإفريقي.
The head of the Algerian state emphasized that President Déby's visit aims to give new momentum to cooperation in various fields, particularly in the economic sector, which includes energy, mines, infrastructure, transport industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and trade exchange.
هذه الزيارة الرسمية المعبرة عن إرادتنا السياسية المشتركة لمواصلة المسار الذي رسمناه معا خلال الزيارة التي قمتم بها فخامة الرئيس في سبتمبر الماضي إلى الجزائر وطنكم الثاني. هذه الزيارة لإعطاء دفع جديد للتعاون في مختلف المجالات، لا سيما في المجال الاقتصادي الذي يشمل الطاقة والمناجم والبنى التحتية والنقل والصناعة الصيدلانية والتبادل التجاري.
And President Tebboune said that the visit was an opportunity to emphasize the importance of activating cooperation mechanisms, including the Joint Commission, that we both ensured the holding of its fourth session through the commitment in this visit to update the legal framework governing our relations and to sign nearly 30 agreements and memoranda of understanding. In his words, let's have a listen.
فخلال محادثاتنا أكدنا سوياً أهمية تفعيل آليات التعاون، ومنها اللجنة المشتركة التي حرصنا معا على عقد دورتها الرابعة بالتزام من هذه الزيارة لتحيين الإطار القانوني المنظم لعلاقتنا والتوقيع على ما يقارب 30 اتفاقية ومذكرة تفاهم. كما دعونا أنا وأنت أخي فخامة الرئيس إلى إضفاء الديناميكية اللازمة على مجلس الأعمال الجزائري تشادي وتعزيز نتائج دورته الأولى باعتباره فضاء للتواصل بين المتعاملين الاقتصاديين وجسرا لتعزيز الاستثمار والتبادل التجاري.
For his part, Chadian President Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno expressed his sincerest thanks and deepest gratitude to President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Algerian government and peoples for their warm welcome, stressing that his visit reflects the depth of bilateral relations linking the two nations.
First and foremost, I wish to express my profound gratitude to my brother, President Tebboune, to the government and to the Algerian people for the exceptional welcome we received. This close relationship is not merely a matter of protocol. It reflects the depth of our shared roots. My presence here, just 7 months after the last visit, demonstrates a clear political will to move from traditional friendship to a new generation of strategic partnership.
The deep-rooted fraternal ties between Algeria and Chad are gaining renewed momentum, driven by a shared political commitment to strengthen dialogue and expand economic cooperation. This comes in light of the official visit of the Chilean President Mohamed Déby Itno to Algeria, in a visit that can be described as more than diplomatic. Usama Ayadi has more details in this report.
The deep-rooted fraternal ties between Algeria and Chad are entering a phase of renewed strategic relevance, shaped by converging political priorities and evolving regional dynamics. The positive momentum has been clearly reflected in recent years through the shared will of both countries' leadership to deepen political dialogue and expand economic cooperation. This trajectory was highlighted on Wednesday as the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, welcomed the President of the Republic of Chad, Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno, in his official visit to Algeria. Beyond its diplomatic symbolism, the visit signals a deliberate effort by both nations to reposition their bilateral relationship within a broader framework of regional coordination and South-South cooperation.
فالعلاقات الجزائرية تشادية تستمد جذورها.
Algerian-Chadian relations go back to our shared struggle against the same colonial power and the sacrifices both our brotherly peoples made for freedom and independence. They draw their strength from our common ambition to turn the Sahel-Saharan region into a space of peace, security, development and prosperity. And they are defined by our strong alignment in support of African unity, along with our firm commitment to solidarity, cooperation and integration across the continent.
At the political level, the meeting reflects a growing alignment on key regional issues, particularly concerning the stability of the Sahel, while economic collaboration is also expected to feature prominently on the agenda. In recent years, Algeria and Chad have expressed interest in boosting trade exchanges, encouraging investment, and exploring opportunities in such sectors as energy, infrastructure, and transport. This visit is seen as an opportunity to translate political goodwill into concrete partnerships that can benefit both economies.
What we need to embrace is a comprehensive vision, a vision for a connected, secure, and economically integrated Saharo-Sahelian space, a vision for an Africa that is no longer on the margins, but that stands as an essential actor in global transformations. In this context, strengthening the links between our two countries is not a luxury. It is a strategic necessity. Roads, trade corridors, and air connections and concrete tools for integration. Without them, our ambitions will remain only theoretical.
The strengthening of Algeria-Chad relations aligns with a broader vision of enhancing African solidarity and promoting regional integration. By fostering closer ties, both countries aim to contribute to sustainable development and reinforce stability across their respective regions. The official visit of President Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno thus goes beyond a routine diplomatic engagement. It represents a strategic inflection point where historical ties are being redefined through a more structured and interest-driven partnership, one that could have implications not only for bilateral relations, but also for the balance of cooperation across the Sahel and beyond.
The Speaker of Algeria's National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, discussed strengthening bilateral ties and parliamentary cooperation with Kenya's National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula. In a virtual meeting, they praised strong Algeria-Kenya relations, aligned positions on regional and global issues, and stressed tackling Africa's challenges through joint action and African-led solutions. Algeria's Foreign Ministry Secretary General Lounès Maghraman received the acting U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Mark A. Shapiro for a courtesy visit. The meeting reviewed Algeria-U.S. relations and ways to strengthen cooperation ahead of upcoming bilateral engagements. Also, Algeria's Foreign Ministry Secretary General Lounès Maghraman received Spain's ambassador to Algeria, Ramiro Fernandez, on Wednesday. The meeting reviewed Algeria-Spain relations and ways to sustain positive cooperation across various fields, following up on the recent visit of Spain's foreign minister to Algeria. The U.S. President Donald Trump said that talks with Iran could resume in the coming days. In a message exchange with the New York Post, he suggested negotiations could take place within 36 to 72 hours, possibly before Friday. U.S. President Donald Trump announced an extension of the ceasefire with Iran shortly before it was set to expire. In a post on Truth Social, he said the truce would continue until Iran presents a proposal to end the conflict, while also ordering the U.S. military to maintain the blockade on Iranian ports.
Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are conducted one way or the other.
And Iran's foreign ministry said its armed forces are on high alert to defend the country and are closely monitoring political and field developments, adding that Tehran will take appropriate measures. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani stated that Iranian forces are fully prepared to respond to any threat and will use all available means to hold aggressors accountable.
The Islamic Republic, as it watches closely the field and political developments, will take the necessary and appropriate measures to protect national interests and national security. The Iranian armed forces are in the extreme state of alert and ready to fully defend the Islamic Iran in the face of any threat or evil act. The Islamic Republic of Iran will take every opportunity to account for the aggressor and support the rights of Iran, including establishing justice for the perpetrators of war crimes and those who incite them and demand compensation.
Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif welcomed the extension of the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. In a post on X, he thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for accepting Islamabad's request to extend the truce in order to allow ongoing diplomatic efforts to continue.
On my personal behalf and on behalf of Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir, I sincerely thank President Trump for graciously accepting our request to extend the ceasefire to allow ongoing diplomatic efforts to take their course. With the trust and confidence reposed in, Pakistan shall continue its earnest efforts for negotiated settlement of conflict.
And the spokesperson for Iran's Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters of the Armed Forces, Ibrahim Zolfagari, warned against any action targeting his country, stressing that Iranian armed forces are what he described as maximum readiness to respond to any hostile move against Iran. In a series of posts on the platform X on Wednesday, the Zolfagari said, "We issue this warning in response to repeated threats made by the US president and his military commanders," adding that Iranian forces are prepared to teach the US and the Israeli entity a harsher lesson than before if any mistake is made in attacking Iran, according to his own words. And China has warned that the situation in the Middle East is entering what it described as a critical phase after US President Donald Trump extended the ceasefire to give Iran more time for negotiations. The Chinese Foreign Ministry expressed support for extending the truce between the US and Iran, stressing its backing for all parties to continue resolving disputes through diplomacy. During a press conference on Wednesday, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gyu Chakun said that the priority is to maintain the ceasefire and prevent a return to fighting by any means necessary, according to his remarks. And Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps announced on Wednesday that its naval forces had detained 2 vessels that attempted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz and escorted them into Iranian territorial waters. In a statement, the IRGC said that its naval forces detected 2 vessels it described as violating ships earlier in the morning in the Strait of Hormuz and intercepted them. The statement added that the IRGC Navy seized the 2 vessels and directed them towards Iran's coastline. US President Donald Trump said that the Iranian economy is in a critical state due to the consequences of the war, stressing that Tehran wants to reopen the Strait of Hormuz because of what he described as a financial collapse. In a post on his Truth Social platform on Wednesday, Trump said that Iran is collapsing financially and is losing around $500 million a day as a result of the US naval blockade imposed on its ports. He added that there are widespread complaints within the Iranian army and police over unpaid salaries, describing the situation as a cry for help, according to his words.
Iran is collapsing financially. They want the Strait of Hormuz opened immediately. Starving for cash, losing $500 million a day. Military and police complaining that they are not getting paid.
The European Commissioner for Energy, Dan Jørgensen, said that the outlook for energy markets remains negative, even under the best-case scenarios due to the impact of the US-Israeli war with Iran. The European official added that the crisis could be as severe as the crises of 1973 and 2022 combined. He stressed that the European bloc is facing extremely difficult months ahead and possibly even years, depending on developments in the Middle East. Axios reported, citing U.S. officials, that President Donald Trump is considering extending the waiver of the Jones Act, which allows foreign-flagged cargo ships to transport fuel and other goods between domestic ports. Trump had suspended restrictions under the Jones Act for 60 days starting March 17 in an effort to help curb rising fuel prices linked to the Iran war by increasing shipments from the U.S. Gulf Coast. Two Lebanese civilians were killed on Wednesday morning after an Israeli strike targeted a vehicle in the south of the country. The Lebanese national news agency reported that the Israeli attack hit a car in the town of Tyre Harfa, resulting in the deaths of 2 people who were inside it. This is the end of our program. Thank you for watching and have a great night.